Fantasy football is about choices. Will it be James's expertise?
He's going to be the only guy on the field to get the ball. He's a 3-down workhorse to get the ball.
Or Chris's insights?
But even if they trade him, I still don't think they're going to become a run-first team.
The choice is in your hands. We give you the option.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Option. Today's episode, we have a special name. It is called New Phone Who Dis. What does that mean? Well, we're talking about players who have recently found a new home during the offseason. Will they be good in their new homes? Will they not be good and not be a good fit? We don't know, but we're going to discuss it all. So let's get into our first player. Why waste any time? Our first player is one of the biggest quarterback offseason trades that we saw, sending former Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts. Will Carson Wentz succeed with his new team in Indianapolis? What do you guys think?
All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. And for this topic here, Nick, I say yes. I've been saying it before. I think Carson Wentz is going to succeed. He's got an awesome team in Indy. It's an upgrade from what they had in Philadelphia. Yes, I'm a little biased because I hate Philadelphia, but I think you can agree with me on that. He actually has wide receivers, finally, that actually can play and not get hurt. T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell.
Two of those guys got hurt last year. T.Y. Hilton and Paris Campbell. So.
Well, T.Y. finished the season, though.
He still got hurt. Alshon Jeffrey finished the season, though.
Did he? Was he still there? I don't even know if he was there. Anyway, nonetheless, these receivers will catch the ball better than the receivers he had in Philadelphia. And I think this offensive line is better than what he had in Philadelphia. The run game is better than what he had in Philadelphia with JT and Marlon Mack. Everything altogether just screams that he should have a better year and be back to the quarterback he possibly was when we remember him in that MVP run that he was going for. Will he be that? I honestly still don't know yet. I need to see a little bit more tape to say that for sure. But all of the everything there and all the factors are basically pointing that he should be better, and he could be someone that a lot of people could take in drafts a little bit later because people still don't know. They're not 100% sure. They're sleeping on him. And I mean, this guy could end up becoming, if he's what he used to be, even if he's a little piece of what that was when he was a top 5. Was he top 5, Chris, fantasy QB back then? I mean, he was almost number 1 at some point.
Yeah, he had that one good half a season, and then he got married. That was it.
But anyways, I think he could be. Now, Nick, I remember last season you took Phillip Rivers in a few of our drafts, and you liked Phillip Rivers because of the chance that he could be a good quarterback with this offense. Now, imagine what Carson Wentz could be in this offense with these players. Well, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I did take Phillip Rivers. It didn't work out very well, but I mean, Carson Wentz coming into this offense with these wide receivers who are coming back, like Paris Campbell, like T.Y. Hilton, who aren't injured anymore, hopefully, and adding Michael Pittman to that, it's going to be good. I mean, it could be huge. He's also getting his old coach back. It's just so many positives going into Carson Wentz that I think he can have a good season again and turn into that old Carson Wentz that we knew. And like you said, adding that heavy run that they have in Jonathan Taylor now too, it's so many good things that I can't not trust the guy right now.
Yeah, so don't sleep on him. I think the Colts are also going to be a contender this year with the Titans, with the Chiefs, with the Ravens, and the Bills. And with that being said, if they're winning a lot of games, that might also help Carson. His, I guess, what would you call it? His ego, his head, kind of stay in there so he doesn't have the problems that he had last season, and hopefully pulls out and has a full season. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part. I think Carson Wentz will find success as an NFL quarterback in the year, but for fantasy purposes, I'm going to temper my expectations of him coming into the 2021 season. I don't think the coaching staff is going to ask him to do overly too much as a passer. They need to build, like you said, his confidence back up take care of his mentals, take care of his chickens, as Marshawn Lynch told us. I'm a numbers guy. Part of the reason why I love fantasy football is the numbers. I love the progressive analytics. So in 2020, I'm going to throw you some of those progressive stats that
I don't like
I have
those.
for.
Don't throw those. Please don't throw those.
No. In 2020, Carson Wentz threw a
really
league
badly.
worst
I know.
bad pass on 28.4% of his passes.
I thought it'd be higher.
30 intercepted. That's a lot. It's more than a quarter.
I was thinking higher, though.
He threw 30 interceptable passes for second most in the NFL. He had 42 danger plays, fourth most in the NFL, and he only played 12 games. He only completed 57.4% of his passes and threw an interception on 3.4% of those said throws. So
he can only get better, right?
There's only one direction.
But he can also get worse. The thing with numbers is they go up and they go down. So
they're already down. How much
down
can he go?
He can go down. Not only that, but he got benched for a guy that the Eagles themselves weren't sure they wanted at the time either.
Still not sure.
Exactly. I'm for drafting Wentz, but not as a reach, and definitely not with the utmost confidence. Give me Matt Ryan. Give me Baker Mayfield. Give me Kirk Cousins over Carson Wentz this year.
I could see that. I mean, those numbers are awful, by the way. Yeah. If you look at that season, they're horrible. I'm looking at more of I'm going to use the word hope here because I know we've used that a few times through these episodes, but I'm hoping that he's a little closer to that MVP season when he was a top 5 quarterback. He did it for a few years there. I'm hoping he can get back to that point. Will it happen this season? I'm hoping he gets close. And even if it doesn't happen exactly, it may turn into something. But you're right. It's in his head. It's his psyche. He's got to get over that. But if he does, and he can figure out how to play with these receivers, he could be dangerous down the stretch of the season. Yeah.
I'm really surprised that Chris didn't bring up the fact that you said hope about 5 times there, but it's okay. Let's go to our second.
Chris is being nice. It's only the first guy. Hold on.
You're right. Let's get to our second player then. A big wide receiver who was hurt most of the season last year, hurting a lot of fantasy teams. Me, myself, was one of them. But he has found a new team. He's gone from Detroit, and now he is on the New York Giants. We're talking about Kenny Golladay. Can Kenny Golladay succeed with the New York Giants and with Chris's favorite player, the Ferrari? That's Daniel Jones for all you guys that don't know. What do you guys think?
I love it. Favorite.
It's not even a Hot Wheels Ferrari.
You're going to use that line every episode, James?
Every time. He's more of like a Ford Pinto.
Oh. Ooh. But anyway, so as the segment says, new phone, who dis? Oh, another quarterback that can throw bombs downfield? Okay, yeah. Then this is Kenny Golladay, wide receiver 6 in 2019 and half-point PPR formats. Yes, 2020 was a down year for smooth Kenny G, but since 2019, he has averaged the most air yards per reception with 17.98, with a 63% contested catch rate, only second to Michael Thomas. Kenny Golladay is a threat in the red zone and should be the Giants' primary red zone target. In 2018, Kenny caught 5 receiving TDs and led the Lions in red zone targets with 16. In 2019, he caught 11 TDs and led the Lions in red zone targets with 17. In 2020, while only playing 5 games, he caught 4 passes in the red zone for 6 red zone targets, 2 TDs. Kenny Golladay will be fantasy relevant again in 2021. And being drafted as the 25th wide receiver, you can only see value return on your investment.
Well said there, Chris. I mean, on paper, this looks great. Kenny Galladay's averages in fantasy production are amazing. Like the numbers you were just saying, he was close to averaging, I think, double digits in fantasy. Nick, can you do a stat check for me to figure out exactly what those numbers were?
Yeah, give me 1 sec here. Yeah. He actually started aside from his rookie season where he started 5 games only, he averaged 9.3 in his second year. He averaged 11.4 in year 3, and he averaged 9.5 in the 5 games he played in year 4.
Like I said, the numbers look fantastic. I mean, it writes itself that this looks like, yes, it should be a year for him to be great in fantasy. But I have to say no. I don't think it's going to happen because of the guy Daniel Jones, who we were talking about. I don't think Daniel Jones is Matt Stafford or even close to Matt Stafford. The numbers
He's one of the better quarterbacks throwing the ball downfield.
That's fine, but he's still not Stafford. He still has to hit Daniel Jones. He still has to do that. I don't think it's going to
He's accurate too downfield.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be as good as people are saying he's going to be. I think this is Daniel Jones last year as a New York Giant. I think they're going to realize he's not quarterback material, and they're going to go a separate way. This is my take on it. I know a lot of people don't. Yes, biased. Again, I'm biased because I hate the Giants. I know Chris is going to say that. But I've seen the last few seasons. He hasn't been, it hasn't shown me anything very good. Some of the numbers may prove otherwise. Maybe this is just my hunch, whatever it is. But I think for those reasons that he's going to have an off year. I think he's going to upset a lot of people that they're not going to get the points that they were hoping they would get from him. And I think that he's going to be lower than what people are thinking. Chris, what do you have him at then for ADP, or were you thinking wide receiver?
For who? Daniel Jones?
Golladay. No, for
Golladay. Yeah. Right now, he's being drafted as the 25th wide receiver.
Right. So, where do you have him, though?
I got him right around that mark. About there? Yeah, I would like to see what they're going to do. I'll move him up closer to the season. So but I have.
So you don't have too much faith in him if you still have him at 25 then, because this guy was a top 10 wide receiver when he was in Detroit.
It's not that I don't have faith in Kenny Golladay. I don't have faith in Jason Garrett. And as a Cowboys fan, you know the type of offense that he runs.
What do you mean? I love him on the Giants. He's fantastic over there.
Yeah. So that's where I think the counter argument for Kenny Galladay's production.
So there's another reason as to why Kenny Golladay may not be as good as you're thinking. But wide receiver 25 doesn't really scream he's going to be an amazing wide receiver this year. Especially when this guy was a top 10 wide receiver we're talking about, right? Like this guy would put up numbers. You were scared of this guy. Now it's like, and then plus there's other options on that team that are going to be coming in, right? You still have Shepard, you still have Kadarius Toney, you still have Evan Ingram, you still have Barkley, you still have these are guys that also will get the ball. And that could also play into the fact that he may not get as many touches like he did in Detroit. Detroit, he was the only option. They had to throw to him. He knew he could catch it. He knew he was going to get it. And he's just that good that he can do this.
But they did have Marvin Jones.
That's true. Okay, I'll give you that. Yes, they did have Marvin Jones. But I don't know. I still don't believe it. I don't see it. Even if he finishes in that 25 range, it could be around there where he is. But just part of me is just still saying no. I think he's going to have an off year. And I think this is the year they finally say, okay, Jones is not the guy. And I know that's a little separate subject, but that's my take on it.
So I have him at about his ADP. Where do you have him?
Now that he's saying wide receiver 25, yeah, I could see him around there between 25 and 30, somewhere there. Maybe he goes a little higher, 22. But again, it's still not where he should be. Like this guy should still be in the top 10.
Gotcha.
Oh, just before the buzzer. My bad. But I like ringing my bell. It's fun.
Buzzer beater.
You know what? I'm going to get my own
You're
bell.
You're not allowed. We've gone through this. I'm the only one with a bell. You're not allowed. Don't touch.
Then I'm going to get a horn.
No, don't do that. No.
One of those DJ horns.
You guys are no fun. And it's my bell. All right. Let's get to our third one of the day. We're actually talking about two players in this one. New England was desperately in need of a tight end. They have been struggling so much lately, and it was almost non-existent.
And wide receivers.
Okay. But I'm talking about the tight ends.
And a running back.
Anyways, they ended up going out this offseason. They got two big tight end names in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Guys, do we see these guys as being successful in New England? And if so, which one do you actually see being more successful? What do you guys think?
All right. So, yes, I think they're going to be successful. I'm picturing Gronk and Hernandez 2.0. Henry is the Gronk and Smith is the Hernandez of this. Yes, Chris, stop nodding your head. This is what's going to happen. The only thing that scares me is Cam Newton. But other than that, I'm still seeing that these two guys could be dangerous. That year in 2011, I know I'm going back to 2011, but it's the only thing I can think of for these two tight ends.
You killed me last episode.
I know that, but I had no choice.
You're going to 2011?
Well,
2011?
It's the comparison. It's the same coach. He's still there.
God. Oh, that's the same thing that I used with Greg Roman and Sammy Watkins.
That's where I got the idea.
And now you're going back to 2011.
I knew you were going to rip me on it, but I had no choice to prove the point. Anyways,
I see.
In 2011, Gronk and Hernandez had 169 receptions, which was an NFL tight end duel record, 2,237 yards and 24 touchdowns. Now, again, Cam Newton's not Brady. I get that. It's a little different. But I think if they can try and give those schemes and that role to these two guys, they can be similar. They're not exactly those two, so you can't really compare apples to apples, but it's close. I mean, like I said, Henry could be the Gronk, Smith can be the Hernandez, and I still think that they can run the schemes and the plays that they were using back then now. And I think that'll actually help Cam be a little bit better. And if it's not Cam and it ends up being Mac Jones, we all know that rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends, and that only enhances the fact that these two tight ends could be catching balls. Also, what are the other threats that are on this team? I mean, these two guys are probably the better catching threats that they have. Yes, they have Nelson Aguilar, but I still don't think Nelson Aguilar is a real threat yet. He had one good year. He needs to prove a little bit more, and I still don't know if he can do it with this team either. So in my eyes, I think these guys are your probably two best players to pick up as options for New England. Where are they going to be fantasy-wise is another question. Are they more flex tight ends? They're not in the top 5. You're not going to find that. You're not going to see these guys put up Gronk, Hernandez numbers like they did that year where they were, I think, 1-3 or something like that. They're not going to put up 24 TDs. But can they be viable options as late-round tight ends? Yes, I think so. And I think they can put up some decent numbers to help you as a tight end here or there, or for a season as you're drafting other players and putting more stock into the wide receiver, running back positions and letting your tight ends to the bottom like I normally do.
Oof. Nick, can you tell me how many passing TDs Cam Newton threw last year, please?
Oh, God. I already know it's 8. They're not good. Damn it.
That is correct. It is 8.
I mean, that number right there alone tells me that the ceiling for both these guys
is 3.
And the Hernandez-Gronk comparison is such a stretch, James. I mean, where you just grasping at straws there. It's like, I don't understand that comparison, but both can be viable streaming options.
Take out Cam and look at the two and the way it is. Could they not be Gronk and thing 2.0 without Cam there?
Who are you going to put in there? Mac Jones. Mac Jones is not Tom Brady.
Yet.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
They're hoping he's going to be.
Mac Jones, I would prefer Mac Jones instead of Cam Newton for both these guys because I would then consider them more of a fantasy option.
I'll give you that.
But with Cam Newton there, their ceiling is so limited. They can be viable streaming options based on the matchups. Until the New England Patriots can show me that they can support anyone fantasy relevant in their passing game to be rostered full-time. 1 week, it could be Jonnu Smith featured in the passing game, getting 7 catches for 90 yards and 2 TDs. And then the week after, it could be Hunter Henry who's featured. James didn't really answer the question.
So they're both viable then.
They're not both viable.
You just got to pick the right week.
Yeah, exactly. So James didn't answer the question. I'm going to answer the question and say I think Hunter Henry will be more of a fantasy option than Jonnu Smith.
All right.
I can answer the question.
All right.
No, you already had your turn.
It depends on which week. One of them will be better than the other.
That's not answering the question. Anyone can have that theory where you're just like, oh, well, if this guy's good, then this guy's not good. Oh, no.
All right. I'm going to say Jonnu Smith will be better than Hunter Henry.
Oh, so we got one from each of you. So now
I like Jonnu Smith's talents a little more than Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry might get better red zone numbers, and if they're in the red zone, throw to him. But like you said, Cam doesn't throw TDs, so the guy that's getting up the yards is going to be Jonnu Smith because Cam will run the TD in before he throws it.
Interesting. I mean, we got a tie, so technically, I'm going to say I think I'm going to go Hunter Henry here. I think he's the bigger target.
That's because you have Hunter Henry stock. I've seen it.
I have Jonnu stock more than Hunter Henry. Come on. What are you talking about?
You have way more Hunter Henry stock than Jonnu stock.
Get to the next one.
Right.
These guys don't matter anyways. Get to the next one.
All right. Our next player, throughout the offseason, we heard huge rumors about this player not being happy with his team, about saying that he's done with his team and he's out of there. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's a wide receiver His name is Julio Jones, and we finally got to see what his new team will be. He has signed with the Tennessee Titans. Guys, do we think Julio Jones can be successful as a Tennessee Titan?
Nick, when before I get into my Julio breakdown here, we were talking the other day. We were talking about Tennessee and their receiving core. We were talking about vacated targets. Did you get a chance to look those up? Can you bring those up for me, please? Were you able to get those?
I did. I actually went and looked at them after.
Wait, you guys talk off camera without me? What the heck?
Yeah, we don't like you that much, so you know.
Yeah,
That's not fair. What the heck?
I did go look up these stats. It's actually very interesting. Tennessee actually is the second highest amount of targets vacated. Sorry. They have the second most amount of targets vacated. These targets were with, tight end Jonnu Smith, like we just talked about, at 65. Yes. Corey Davis at 92. Adam Humphries at 35. Caleb Raymond at 15. And Nicole Pruitt at 8. This gave them... Well, those were the bottom guys. They had targets, okay? I went and searched it up.
They're just the vacated targets.
Anyways,
it's
they're
good
gone.
Job, Nick.
That gave them a total of 215 targets to spread out to a new wide receiver. Like, maybe his name is Julio, like I just said.
So that's a lot of targets. That's a lot of vacated targets. And they didn't really add anybody except Julio Jones and Josh Reynolds. So if Julio gets half of those targets, he can definitely be a viable fantasy option in 2021. Being drafted as wide receiver 15, you could be drafting him at a ceiling as the Titans' best wide receiver to me right now is A.J. Brown. But his best finish was wide receiver 12 as a Tennessee Titan. So they haven't produced a top 10 wide receiver in Tennessee yet. Do I think Julio Jones can be a top 10 wide receiver in Tennessee? No, I do not. If he stays on the field, which we all hope he does, the targets will be there. I love him in standard leagues, so draft him there. In PPR, if you own him in any type of format, I would definitely try to sell high.
Yeah, no, I agree with most of that there, Chris. I think he can be a viable option this season. I going by the AJ Brown factor there. I mean, AJ Brown should be the number one, which puts him at number 2. And normally he's the number 1 guy. So I think that'll open up some more targets for him. And look, all those targets you just said, I mean, they got to go somewhere, right? And why not throw to Julio Jones? And it looked like Atlanta, for some reason, didn't trust him in the red zone. I wonder if Tennessee will throw a little bit more to him in the red zone there.
I think they called him the touchdown virgin in Atlanta.
Oh, man, it was bad. I remember I had him for a few seasons, and it's like, 236 yards, no touchdowns. Not even a throw in the end zone. It's like, what's going on? Like,
that's why I say standard leagues, it's great because he's going to get that yak. He's going to get those yards, right?
Yeah, no, but I like him there. I think he's going to do well. I think this hurts a little bit of AJ Brown because I think everyone was hoping AJ would be the number 1 wide receiver this year in fantasy. They were calling for that, and that was before when he was the only option. But now that you have Julio, like you can spread this out either side. You really don't know which way they're going to go to it. I mean, Reynolds is a pretty good number 3 to help out too. So there's some good weapons there. The guy that you should really be looking for is Ryan Tannehill. If you can get Ryan Tannehill anywhere, and they're going to let him throw the ball a little bit, I mean, he could be a sneaky good quarterback. I know they're a run-heavy team, and I know Derrick Henry's still there, Mr. 2000. But, I mean, Ryan Tannehill could be sneaky good down the stretch. Either way, though, I think you got to, draft what's his name there? Sorry, oh my gosh. Who are we talking about? Julio Jones. You have to draft Julio Jones if you get a chance to. Sorry, little
Quintoris
right there. And but you're right. I don't think he'll be a top 5. I don't know if he'll be top 10. I mean, I think he can be in the top 15 range by the end of season, depending on how things go. But he'll have to have a really good year for that to happen. He is 32, so he's on the wrong side of the age group there. But I still like him, and I think like Chris said there, I would sell him in Dynasty if you could, unless you're a contender about to win. In a redraft, definitely take him around. What we're looking at, round 6, 5, 6 there? Are you thinking somewhere that round when he finally will start to go, Chris? Somewhere there?
Yeah, somewhere around there, about wide receiver. He's about wide receiver 15 to 18 right now.
So I'd say somewhere there, 5, 6, 7, depending. And then, in keeper, I mean, keep him for this season, maybe if you have to, if you don't have any other options. But if you can get rid of him and get some draft, like if you're a contender, you're going to win. You still want to keep him because you can probably use him. But if you're on the outs, maybe once he has a 1 or 2 good weeks, try to flip him and see what you can get for him. Because like I said, 32, it's the wrong age that you want to be on having with these wide receivers, especially in those formats.
Interesting. It's going to be weird seeing Julio in those colors. I mean, I think he looked better in the dark blue and the one with the star on it. You know, the Cowboys? Yeah. He didn't want to go to the Cowboys, though, so that's unfortunate.
We have enough wide receivers in Dallas.
Who cares? It would have been awesome. Don't worry about it.
Put him at tight end.
I think the cool part is that A.J. Brown actually was wearing Julio Jones' jersey while warming up for the Titans. And apparently he was one of the first players to wear another player's jersey while warming up on the field during games because he loves them so much. So I think I'm really curious to see the connection between the two of those this season, the two of them this season.
Definitely going to be something exciting to see. Let's get to our next player. A team that desperately needed a quarterback after their Cinderella story with Alex Smith came to an end last year. I'm sure you guys know who this team is now, but it is the Washington football team. And they finally got their quarterback. We've talked about him a little bit before. His name is Ryan Fitzpatrick, a.k.a. Ryan Fitzmagic. Guys, do you think Fitzmagic is going to succeed? The beard. Fear the beard.
Ryan Fitztragic.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Ryan Fitzpick 6. There's a few different things in there.
Do you guys think Fitzmagic or Fear the Beard, whatever you want to call him, do you think he is going to succeed in Washington?
Yes, for at least one season, I think he's going to. It hurts me to say this. I've seen him. Looking at his numbers, he usually has a pretty good season with the new team that he goes to. I mean, he's been on 9 or 10 of them already. He's running through the NFL to see how many he can get to. I think he's looking for that record. I don't know if he has it or not yet.
He's gonna get it. Don't worry.
I think I think he'll have a good year. I really do. I think with the offensive weapons that they have in Washington, those wide receivers are starving for a quarterback that can throw the ball, and we all know that Fitzpatrick can throw the ball. Is he going to be a stud to the point where, like, oh my God, he's going to put up numbers? I mean, he might have games where he puts up some crazy numbers, but like he's done. And I got Nick to look up some of those numbers in the past. Nick, can you talk to us about some of the numbers that he had there in the teams that he played for? Or this was last season, just when he was with Miami. Those numbers
from last season here. I looked up. He actually started 20 out of the 24 games when he was with Miami. Not only last season, he threw for 5,620 yards, 33 touchdowns, and that's about 281 yards and 1.37 touchdowns per game. His running totals adding with his running totals, he averaged about 17.3 fantasy points per game. So not too bad.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not a QB1, but I think he actually will have better weapons in Washington to maybe give him some better numbers down the stretch with those wide receivers. So, I mean, I could see him in the, at least averaging 20 points a game as a quarterback, putting him at a high-end QB2. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, especially with the teams that he's playing in the NFC East, how bad they were. I mean, the defenses aren't very good there. So he's playing them 6 times in the season. I mean, he can put up some good numbers there. So, I think he'll be well. I think he'll do good. And I hate to say it, but they're going to be a contender against Dallas to win that division.
I don't know if I'd use stud and Ryan Fitzpatrick for talking fantasy in the same sentence. His best finish in Tampa Bay was QB 28. His best finish in Houston was QB 23. His best finish in Miami was QB 16. His best finish overall was QB 11. He did it twice, once with Buffalo and once with the Jets. He is the king of garbage time. I don't see the football team being in many garbage time situations this coming year, as they have a stout defense that's going to keep them in games. They're going to have a running game that's going to take the load off the passing game. Yes, the wide receivers are starting for a quarterback that can throw the ball. But again, in the NFL, he's going to succeed. Will he be fantasy relevant? He will be, but not in a week in and week out basis. I have him as a low-end QB2 with intrigue as a late round QB target.
Okay, but hold on. You say that these guys are that they weren't. There's going to be no garbage time. They didn't win very many games last year. They won a division under 500. I mean, all the teams were so bad, so there has to be garbage time there because they lost so many games anyways.
I don't think they're gonna, because they couldn't keep up the pace.
I don't think they're going to improve that much to the point where these guys are going to all of a sudden win 11 or 13 games this season.
I'm not saying they're going to win 11.
So there's going to be garbage time for him to throw the ball.
I'm not saying there's not going to be garbage time. I'm saying there's going to be less opportunity for garbage time.
I think there's going to be just as much opportunity as there was last year.
Nah, I don't see it.
I don't know, man. I still think there's going to be there, and he's still going to get the chance to throw that ball and get
for sure,
points.
He's definitely going to have the chance, but I don't trust him as a week in and week out quarterback.
I didn't say
you can have him. I know you didn't say he was a QB1.
I think I have him in a few leagues, but as a QB2,
you can hold on to him.
He's gonna be.
I don't want him to succeed if that counts.
He's going to be a solid, at least a backup quarterback for sure, and someone maybe you can play in super leagues definitely as like your second QB. That's definitely where Fitzpatrick's going to be 100%. Hopefully he does take off, though, and help that Washington team as much as I don't want him to because I'm a Cowboys fan. I mean, it's good to see for football. But, gentlemen, let's get to our last topic here, our last player. And after having a solid year, he ended up missing the rest of the season due to being suspended for 6 games from a PED use. This player's name is Will Fuller. Again, he has found a new home this year. He is now with the Miami Dolphins. Do you guys think that Will Fuller can succeed in Miami with Tua? What do we think?
I think it all depends on Tua's development as a starter. There's been reports that the Dolphins coaching staff went on a deep dive into Tua's tape and found that he loves the deep ball. So they went out and got one of the top deep ball targets in the league. Nick, again, I love my progressive. I love my advanced analytics. Can you bring up some of those numbers from 2022 on Will Fuller,
I
please?
definitely can. Yeah, Chris,
Hold on, Nick. While you're Nick, while you're looking at that, now, Chris, you said they took a deep dive into his game tape. Did they find that he sucked? Oh, it's college tape. No, he was okay in college. Never mind. Go ahead.
He was great in college.
In Miami, he wasn't very good. So any deep dive they went there wouldn't have been good.
But you got to take last year with a grain of salt, man. They had no proper offseason. They had no OTAs. I mean, your analysis of Tua based on that.
Did Justin Herbert have that? He wasn't even the starter, and he put up amazing numbers. So you're
different situations, though, man.
Everyone's in a different situation. He still did it. Joe Burrow was doing it up until he got hurt. And what is he? I mean, they were going neck and neck between the two of them. Why wasn't Tua? Why didn't Tua do it? Why did Fitzpatrick beat out Tua to be the starter?
The coaching staff kept playing around and putting Fitzpatrick
because he's not very good. Go ahead, Nick.
I don't know if I'd say he's not very good. I mean, he was the number 1 rated quarterback before he got hurt. He was supposed to go higher than Joe Burrow.
It's true.
But not very good. I think it's a stretch, James.
Okay, he wasn't very good last year. Not really. That sometimes it hurts.
It does. Our ears especially.
Anyways.
Go ahead, Nick.
Nick, give us those stats, please.
Among players with at least 10 targets of 20-plus yards, Fuller's 20.93 yards per route run ranked 3rd in the NFL. QBs had a passer rating of 132.5 when they targeted him, and his average depth target was 15.3 yards. Nobody had a better catch percentage than him, which was 70.7%.
So great numbers for a down the field passer, which Tua likes to do. If he can stay on the field, he has shown he can be a fantasy stud. I always love a player on these show me deals, on these 1-year deals. He signed a 1-year, $10 million deal. The addition of Waddle is going to open up the field, creating even more space for Fuller. So in my eyes, yes, he will succeed in Miami as a wide receiver too.
And I'm on the opposite end of this, which doesn't surprise anyone. He was great for one reason. He was great for Watson in Houston. I mean, Watson was the reason what he did. He was an amazing quarterback, and now he's going to Miami and he doesn't have Watson. He's got Tua. And obviously you saw my view of what I see Tua as. I don't think he could be what Watson was and get him the ball like he did. I mean, yeah, Chris can say he did it in college. I didn't see it last season. I don't think Miami's the right fit there with what's there. And those other wide receivers you mentioned, I think are going to be a problem for him too, where he's not going to get as much as he did in Houston, because in Houston, he was the only guy to go deep and go get the ball. And he would throw up a 75-yarder, go get it. And,
I mean, they did have DeAndre Hopkins there.
Not last season. Not the season that he actually went off. The reason why he got his $10 million contract.
But he was still catching balls downfield with DeAndre Hopkins there.
But he wasn't putting up the numbers that he did last year. Last year, he
was the number one wide receiver on Houston last year. So yeah,
he was the guy. So that's why his numbers were amazing last year. Like the years before,
stretching the field with DeAndre
but his numbers weren't great the years before. No one was drafting this guy to say, "Oh, I have Will Fuller," because he's going to put up. He was maybe a wide receiver 3 when DeAndre Hopkins was there, because Hopkins got all the balls, which is another reason why Waddle, Parker, Gaskin, there's all these other people that can get the ball there in Miami too. And again, I don't know how much of a deep ball they're going to let him throw. Maybe they change this season and let him air it out this year and we see something different. But, I mean, I didn't see too much of that last season, and I just don't think he's going to do anything. I see him as a wide receiver 3 if he stays healthy. And, I mean, he did last season. He also starting with a 1-game suspension this year, so that's going to hurt as well. I don't see him. I see him more as a stable. He's just there. He's going to be okay, but wide receiver 3 for me. I don't think he's going to be what he did last year. He won't be that top 10 guy that he did.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for all this great information. We had some good points today. I'm definitely just excited to see what these new players in their new homes can do and what the connection will be. But that is our show for the night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to catch our next episodes wherever you stream your podcast and as well as on YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on our social medias for even more content to help you win your fantasy football seasons. You can find us on Instagram at The Option Podcast, on Twitter at The Option Pod, and on TikTok at The Option Fantasy Football. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time. Ciao. Do you agree with us? Disagree with us? Let us know with a comment below, or even reach out to us and DM us.